And now, Gumption TV presents...
All right, so I told you a couple weeks ago about the road home from Escalante, right?
You did.
And just what a fiasco that was. I wound up driving like 11 hours of what should have been a 4-hour drive. I actually regaled the tale on our last episode of KWJUDAS for all you listeners out there. So now we just had another fun little turn out to Grassy Lake. Let me get up the map. What you see here is the route that we took to get there. We started in Orem. This is about a 3-hour drive. And, you know, you branch off of I-15 right here at Nephi. And so, about between Fountain Green and Moroni, I was trying to pass a slow-moving vehicle, and I was kind of following another car that was also trying to pass the same vehicle. And I guess I sort of had in my mind that if the car in front of me is able to pass, then there's probably not any cars coming that fast in the oncoming lane that I'm going to have to worry about, right? So I was wrong, and you should never assume that, and it was a stupid assumption. It was also raining, too, or it had just kind of stopped raining, so the roads are still spraying water, you know. There's not a lot of traction on the fucking road, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So you're trying to pass somebody?
Yeah, so it was a dotted line, and I go ahead and I start passing this the slower moving vehicle, and Riot actually says, he just says no, and he says no very casually. He just is like, no, and I'm just like, did you just say no? As I'm doing it, and he's like, no, and then I had very, very little time to think. I look to my right. The car that I'm trying to pass is directly to my right, so I can't just veer right because he's there. There's a car coming right at me. My only option is to go left, off to the side of the fucking road, on the other side. And you know how they have those little metal rods.
This is the stuff you see in movies.
Dude, yeah, it was fucking crazy. And we're just barely off to, we're like maybe 40 minutes into the drive. And we're already dealing with this shit. And, of course, like, we leave with pretty crappy weather and a forecast that says the weather might clear up where we're going. So we just said, fuck it, let's go for it. Why not? Just hope for the best. Anyways, so the car's coming right the fuck at me. And I veer to the left, and it's wet gravel. And so the car is just, my car is kind of swerving, and I can't control, I can't get it to just go straight. I'm slamming on the brakes, trying to slow down as much as I can, and that is actually making my car swerve more. And I barely nick this guy because I'm trying to avoid hitting one of those metal rods, you know, those posts that they have alongside the freeway. So I'm trying not to hit those, and you know how the right passenger side of my car already is a little fucked up.
Yeah.
And the bumper is made out of, that front part is made out of plastic, that fender, and luckily that little piece of plastic just kind of scuffed the side of their car. So nobody was hurt. There was almost no damage done to their car. And what damage was done to my car was pretty much already done. I actually pulled a red green and fixed it with duct tape. I'm not fucking kidding you, dude. You can go outside and look at Carlos and just see the masterful craftsmanship that I did with just duct tape.
Okay.
Holding the fucking fender together and shit so it wouldn't scrape my tire. And so we just kept going. Oh, wait. No, we didn't. Because the guy that we happened to clip was kind of an older, like, upstanding Mormon guy. And he wanted to do things by the books, of course. He insisted that, well, he was actually already on the phone with the cops before he even got out of his car to look at the damage. So by the time I walked up to his car, he was describing the vehicle and everything. And once you've called the cops, you can't uncall the cops.
Yeah.
And I have actually, I think I told you about the one time I've been through this before. I just barely started driving, folks. I know that's kind of weird, but I guess I'm a late bloomer. So I've only had a car for, maybe a little over a year now. And I got into a little bit of a fender bender, and that's why the front passenger side was a little fucked up. Not too bad, and still not too bad, especially now that I applied the duct tape. And so, that time, I unfortunately got into a wreck with some people that barely spoke English, and I was really hoping that if this happened, or when it happened, my first time getting in any kind of a wreck, it'd be with somebody who knew what to do and did things by the books, so that I would know what to do and just do it. Unfortunately, this time, that's the guy I did run into. I kind of wish that I could have just sort of swapped places, because this time, man, we're already doing a 3-hour drive and trying to get somewhere, and we're barely like 45 minutes into the drive, and already this shit, we're barely even scuffed. Both of us, like, my car is just as fine as it was before I nicked this dude, and you could see a black streak on just a little side above the fucking tire. There wasn't even a dent in the actual body. And so there was barely a reason to make that big of a deal about it. I gave him my insurance. He gave me his insurance just in case.
What was wrong with his car?
He took nothing, really. Like I said, there was a black streak. And it wasn't even, it was barely even like maybe 10 inches.
I thought you were talking about your car.
His car had almost no damage.
Wow.
And that's what I'm saying, is he was already on the phone with the police before he even looked at his own car. And they were already supposedly on their way. But keep in mind, we're between Moroni and Fountain Green. Two donkey fucking towns, which, no offense, donkey fuckers, if you live in that town, but if you do, well, you fuck donkeys. And you got an idea for about how long you're going to be sitting on the side of that road waiting for the cops. For a little black streak on the side of this dude's car.
Yeah.
But, of course, he wants to do things by the book, so we sat there for about an hour and 20 minutes. And finally a highway patrolman shows up, and after taking everybody's information, he even comes up to me and says, so there being no injuries and pretty much no bodily harm to the car, like you say what happened to your car was already done? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
This is what we call, you shouldn't have fucking called us. I mean, he had a little more professional of a fucking term for it, but yeah, he's like, yeah, you really didn't need to. And I even asked the guy, after I gave him my insurance information, I was like, okay, so are we good to go? Like, you can just call my people, right? You have your people call my people. One of those sort of things. And if you need a police report, my understanding was you can still do it after the incident. I think you have like 30 days to do it. I'm not positive about that, but that's what a lot of people were telling me the first time I got into this sort of an altercation. Anyways, don't quote me on that one. Either way, once you've called the cops, like I said before, you can't uncall the cops. Even if I could have talked this guy into, hey, let's just go our separate ways and you call my insurance, call him right now even, whatever. He's the one who said that he had to be back to, Spanish Fork in a half an hour. And I'm like, well, you shouldn't have called the cops in the middle of nowhere on a whim that maybe a high road patrolman's near. Or maybe a Nephi cop is going to be not busy enough to want to bother with our dumb bullshit. Because I'm pretty sure no local cop from Nephi or what's the next town, Moroni, if they even have their own police force. If anybody, again, is listening, then go ahead and drop a comment. Does Moroni even have their own damn police force? I don't know.
I don't know either.
They're a pretty small town. And so
They're not.
was Fountain Green. That was the town that was just behind us. So I doubt they do. I'm pretty sure Nephi is the closest bigger town.
What cop came?
It was a highway patrolman.
Oh,
So it wasn't a local cop.
I see.
But it still took an hour and 20 minutes.
Huh.
And he was pretty quick about it. He was pretty cool. Just, all right, you didn't really need to do this, but here's what we got to do. He still wanted to do a police report. Not the highway patrolman, but,
The guy.
yeah. So we did. Whatever. We finally get out of there. And we continue on our merry little way. But this just cost us quite a bit of time. And once we start getting into the mountains, we realize we have maybe an hour's worth of sunlight if we want to set up camp. And we were originally kind of planning on doing it for 2 days. And we were, why not? Just if we can find a place to camp tonight, let's just pull over and take advantage of the 1 hour of daylight we still have. And then we'll just camp at Grassy Lake tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, like first thing when we wake up, we just pack everything up and go. And just fish and camp there. Which is a really cool place. It's unfortunate that we didn't make it. Anyway, we get to that later. So we wake up the next day. Because we did actually find... Actually, it was ordained by a stag. And we kind of were just sort of driving really slow. And all of a sudden, there was this majestic deer just in the middle of this clearing. And it just looked at us. And we slowed down. And it kept staring. And we stared at it. And we're like, dude, that's where we're camping tonight. And it finally got the fuck out of there. And let us pull the car in and set up camp.
Huh.
What a majestic fucking animal.
Wow.
Actually, deers are kind of stupid, but anyway, they make funny noises. They do. Look it up. Look up deer noises. They make some weird fucking noises. Anyways, next day we get up and we don't have any reception. Actually, I could still text you somehow because you were trying to get a hold of me, and I was actually way the fuck up in the mountains when I texted you earlier today. But my phone couldn't do the GPS. I don't know if it was just it didn't have full service, and so we just hope that along this dirt road it leads us to Grassy Lake still. So it's hard to say. You know,
You're on a dirt road.
when you actually look at the map about how far we got until we pretty much ran into a snowbank.
A snowbank?
Yeah, we were pretty high up there. And so it was still, it got to a point where I would say it was probably 2 feet high, maybe about 10 feet wide, and a good fucking 50 feet up the road. And it covered the whole fucking road. It kind of went in a diagonal, across the road, but there was absolutely no way I was going to try and take carless over that shit.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine a fucking vehicle that you'd want to fucking chance it on that. So it took us a minute to get turned around, and it's a good thing that we didn't do that in the dark. We actually posted up earlier that night because that's exactly what would have happened. And the road was actually pretty shitty on the way up. You know, the runoff from the melting snow was starting to cut into certain parts of the side of the road, and so it just made it a little more narrow and a little more corroded. And so, yeah, that would have sucked had we done that at night. A lot worse. So anyway, we're like, what the fuck do we do? You know, even if there's somewhere still closed that you can fish, which there probably is, our phones aren't fucking working, and I hate to say it, but way too dependent on fucking phones these days for stupid shit like that, you know? especially when it comes to just knowing where the hell you are and where the hell you're going. Even though it's a pretty straight shot. So we decided we're just going to start going down, and if we see anywhere we can fish and potentially maybe camp a second night, then let's pull over. And there was this little stream kind of running down, but didn't really look like any sort of a valid place to fish at all. So we finally get a little bit further down to where you can actually get reception on the phone, and I look it up. And let me see if I can get the fucking map back up again. Okay, we've got it up here. So, on our way out, we came out a different way, if I remember right. We did not go through Ephraim. We came out through Spring City right here. And went through Chester. And looking on Google Maps, I saw this body of water right there. It looks like it has to be, well, could be a decent place to fish. Whales Reservoir. Yes, folks, there is a Wales, Utah. We have a Wales right there. This little town. So, we drive out here. It wasn't that far out of our way. Luckily, we were already coming out of fucking the canyon here and had already been driving our way to about here. This is where we were already going this way anyway. So, we get to this point, and it's pretty much a fucking mud puddle in the middle of the grass. It was pathetic. I imagine there may have been a time that fish might have been there, and there may still be some fish in there now, if there ever was fish. There's got to be a few survivors. But, yeah, we even kind of walked out, and the further you walked, of course, the squishier the ground got. And so water levels had obviously been higher, at least fairly recently. But even if this reservoir, quote-unquote reservoir, was at its fullest, it was not a very deep reservoir, even from the get-go. And you could tell, even just walking out there. So, we turn around.
Would you put a boat on it?
Oh, fuck no. I mean, good luck even getting to the water. There was just so much. For one, you have to get past the mud. And then once you get past the mud, you have to get past all the reeds and cattails and shit that are in the water. And so you would need some kind of waders or heavy-duty galoshes. And even then, you would be getting stuck with every step of the way, just pulling your fucking leg out of the fucking sludge. So, yeah, and for what? The water's going to be shallow as shit once you get to the water.
Yeah.
And who knows if there's anything, like, worth trying to fish for. So, we weren't going to do that. We turned around, got back to the main road. I saw that there was a river that we had crossed. I think it was, like, the San Pete River. Stopped there for a second. Back on this main road. It didn't look worth fishing at all. Continued onward, and as you can see, we've got the Chester Ponds. A series of, little potential fishing holes. And of course, once we get out there, it's all dry. There is no water, not even in the creeks or any of this shit. But we did run into a hawk who had just freshly killed a squirrel and eaten its face. And I tried to get a fucking video of it, but he's camera shy. Fortunately, dead squirrels are not camera shy at all.
Now, another random encounter with Wendell T. Wallaby. We were just in search of a place to fish when we came across a hawk who had just barely made this kill. As you can see, very fresh kill that we so rudely interrupted. I'm sure that when we leave, the hawk will returned to finish his meal. I'm Wendell T. Wallaby, signing out.
Anyways, we turn back around again, and we just start heading back up to what our fucking phone thought was called Moroni. And we passed a lot of cemeteries that I would have liked to have tried out, and a lot of... Oh, look how it is just changing the shit. We passed a lot of abandoned houses I would like to have stopped at. But I'm trying to give Riot a fishing trip for his fucking birthday, and god damn it, we're going to make it happen. So we start coming all the way up this highway here. It empties out into Nephi. And I knew that Nephi at least has a place called Burriston Ponds. Not sure how you pronounce it. I've been there a couple times, and I've only ever caught, each time I went, just a little, maybe like 8-inch little rainbow trout. I mean, at least I caught something, but I was like, oh, this is a little kiddie pond. I've heard that you can still catch big fish there, but I haven't. But I figured that's at least somewhere we can fucking go that's going to have water and fish. So I put that into Google Maps. And on our way out of the canyon here, it doesn't really show it, unfortunately. I've already looked at it. But this river, there's a dam at a certain point that all the water pools up. And kind of like at the mouth, not exactly the mouth of Provo Canyon, but you know how you're driving up Provo Canyon and they have the diversion dam, and Provo River gets really wide and really deep there for a bit. It actually does that a couple of times on the Provo River. So this kind of does the same thing here. And I would estimate it's probably about the same distance from Nephi to this spot as it is from like maybe Orem or Provo up the canyon to the dam where it does the same thing. So once we pull over, I actually realized that I've been here already. Fucking Ramsey had actually dropped me off in the middle of the night at this random just body of water while he went and picked up this chick that he was trying to, that I guess he was kind of involved with. But anyways, right when we got there, I had, I knew where I was at finally. And I was like, I've been here before. Cool. So we hike up over that shit and, like you could see little fish jumping everywhere. I used corn power bait, and immediately my fucking pole just starts getting tugged at. Almost every time that I threw corn power bait in a certain little spot, kind of like pretty much line it up with where the water drains out of the dam, but just cast a little bit further out. You have to get over all the plants and shit. There's a lot of just crap in the water. There's moss and, little water plants and shit. So it's not a good place to fish with lures, at least from the shore where we were at. But, yeah, just throw the bait out right past all the fucking plants. And I was getting immediate hits.
There we go. Look at that, Arles. He disappears into the mud. All right, little fella. You go. Get that mud out of here. You see him? Yeah. He's got some shit in his mouth. All right, there he goes.
Riot finally caught one because it's kind of funny because Riot has always had a problem catching fish, it seems. And what I hate is when a newbie fisherman is like, oh, I think I'm bad luck or something. And it's just like, no, you just need to fish more. And practice makes perfect, as I say. And you're never going to actually get perfect at anything, especially fishing, because there's still a lot of chance to it. But either way, we still wound up catching 6 rainbow trout in a pretty short amount of time. And then we wound up going to fucking Taco Time, which I haven't been to since I was 16.
No.
Yeah, when the fuck was the last time you went to a Taco Time?
Last time I went was about a year ago. I actually got buy one get one free coupon, and they gave me 3 for the price of 1.
Oh my God, folks. All right, this story had a happy ending.
Yeah,
At least Slick got 3 tacos for the price of 1.
burritos. Yeah.
Thank you all for listening.
Brought to you by Derpenschlee. And remember, if it doesn't say Derpen, it's not Derpenschlee.